Good morning. I'm going to tilt this up just a tad. Welcome, everybody, to another Sunday at Second Unitarian Church of Omaha. We'll find in our seats from the book sale. My name is Reverend Juniper Meadows. I'm a tall, curly-haired woman with a lot of color going on. It's my pleasure to serve as your minister at Second Unitarian, and we begin worship the same way every Sunday with number 188 in your hardback hymnal or written in your heart. We sing it twice in English, and we change the key and sing it in Spanish. And we'll have slides on the screen here. Oh, and if you would like to rise in body or spirit, you're willing and able to, friends. Absolutely. 1 second. Hey.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover, unleaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come, though you've broken your vows, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover, unleaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Otra vez. Ven, ven, que quieres seas vagabundo, el amante de partir nuestra sesión de beber. Ven otra vez, ven. Ven otra vez, ven.
Good morning. We welcome you all to Second Unitarian Church of Omaha's Sunday morning service, whether you're joining us on Zoom or you're here in the sanctuary. My name is Deb Gibson. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a tallish, plus-size 51-year-old woman with glasses and long brown hair with a touch of gray. I'm speaking to you from behind the pulpit. I have the privilege of serving as worship associate this morning alongside our settled minister, Reverend Juniper Meadows. It's good to be with you. Again, we welcome all of you to the service, and I would like to extend a special welcome to all visitors this morning. Whether you're just checking us out, coming with a friend from the congregation, or searching for a spiritual home, remember, we were all once visitors here. You are welcome here in all your uniqueness, in all the ways that you think of yourself as different ways of living, different ways of loving, different ways of dressing, different ways of thinking and believing, differences in our bodies and our brains, different ways of being in this world. You are welcome here in all the ways that you search for and make meaning in your life, no matter what you believe happens when we die. Please know that our services are for the whole family. We welcome children and the sounds of life here as we work to be a radically welcoming and accessible congregation that models inherent worth and dignity for all people in this sacred space. And sitting still is optional in this sanctuary. We have activity bags and fidget toys available in the back of the sanctuary for all ages. And we invite you to move your body as you need to during worship. As our first act of worship, we invite you to turn and greet one another. And for those of you on Zoom, we will unmute you and feel free to join in the greetings. A symphony of joyful greetings and budding conversations. You're all welcome to stay and continue these conversations following the service. You can join us for coffee and conversation in the back of the sanctuary or in breakout rooms on Zoom. Lighting the chalice is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. And I'll ask Tom to please come up and light the chalice as I say these chalice lighting words from Bear Koleskua. The hearth of the chalice. As we light this chalice, may our souls become its hearth. We join our hearts to the one great flame of bright compassion, beloved community, and fervent justice. May we become lanterns to the world, lighting the way for all. Thank you, Tom. Now, instead of having creeds and doctrines and all professing to believe the same thing, we have a covenant. A covenant is an agreement, a promise. We don't all agree on what we believe here, but we do recite an agreement about how we promise to be in relationship to one another. No one here is obligated to sing or say anything with us, but if you feel called, if you are willing and able, please say these covenant words together as Sarah shares the words on the screen. Love is the spirit of this church, the quest for truth our sacrament, and this is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another believe more fully in life. And because Spanish is the second most commonly spoken language in this country, and to show our solidarity with our fellow human beings in all their diversity on this planet, we say our covenant in Spanish. Sarah will share the words on the screen. And do your best. We get better and better as we go. El amor es el espíritu de nuestra iglesia. La búsqueda, la verdad, nuestro sacramento. Y esto es our que convivamos en paz, que busquemos la verdad en el amor, y que nos ayudemos uno al otro a creer más en la vida. Our first hymn is number 1064 in our teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home. Please rise in body or in spirit as you are willing and able, and join us in singing as Sarah shares the words on the screen.
Well, good morning again, friends. My name is Reverend Juniper Meadows. I use she, her pronouns. It's always hard to describe what I'm wearing. It's just got a lot going on. I have this beautiful robe of many colors made by this congregation, and this stole with a chalice and a luna moth made by my internship congregation, and I'm just so blessed to serve as your settled minister here at Second Unitarian Church of Omaha. And before we get into our time for all ages, well, we have a message from our DRE, and she is out with our youth group at a comparative religions event. We used to call this neighboring faith, so I think we may have a new name for it for today, but she has left a note that I would like to read for you. She told me to do an impression, but you can't make an impression of Ashley. So she says, as part of our focus this year, YRUU is working on comparative religions. This morning we are on our first in-person visit to First Central Congregational United Church of Christ, where teens and advisors are attending the worship service and will discuss their experiences together during our next meeting on Wednesday night. Meeting the moment, which is what we are exploring today, means building stronger communities, and most of the time that means reaching beyond ourselves and our comfort zone. We are often rewarded by finding there is more that connects us than divides us. Ain't that true? What a wonderful story. What wonderful ministry Ashley and our young people are bringing to themselves, and by our presence there, maybe to our friends at the Congregational Church. Well, this year, the Unitarian Universalist Association has put out a charge to congregations and faith leaders of the living tradition all across the country, posing 3 critical questions to serve as beacons in the midst of such a broken time. We are well beyond unprecedented and uncertain. These are truly chaotic and To use a scary word, violent times. The fog rolls in so thick you could cut it, and for those of us on the margins, it may feel as if it could cut you right back. In our tradition, we liken a good question like a good prayer. Good questions are sacred. They propel us from the passivity of unknowing into the processes of revelation. That word, revelation, carries with it hints of apocalypticisms, the bitter taste of endings like copper and goodbyes. But we must know that the word apocalypse doesn't mean devastation. Apo, kaluptime, to cover. The apocalypse then is the uncovering, the revelation of the real. And people hear me for, not to sound like a preacher back home in Tennessee, but these are days of revelation. Not like the book of the Bible necessarily, but like the breaking of a facade, the shattering of an illusion. Knee-jerk reactions and wishful thinking will only get us so far, if anywhere at all, rather than the freeze of apathy or the incendiary reactivity. We must bring the water of response, and do so responsibly. As all waters inevitably flow into one greater body, may our guiding questions be as a river channel pulling all of our wondering into a greater flow. We will be exploring these questions in more depth on October 4th in our Leaders Meet the Moment workshop, and later in shorter variations that will be more broadly available. And make no mistake, friends, this is not mere navel-gazing the denomination is asking us to do. This isn't a throwaway project. This is the real work of the church, to consider with thoughtful compassion and deep reverence the moment we are in. And these questions lead naturally from one into the other, deepening, simple yet sublime. And here they are for your consideration. What is the moment we are in? On various scales, here locally in particular. What is the moment we are in? What defines this time? And further, what are the particular struggles we face as a community, as a society, as a culture? What are the opportunities as well? These things go hand in hand. And lastly, how do we cultivate a values-based response? What is the moment we are in? What are the obstacles and opportunities? What is a values-based response in light of these two questions? Now, I invite y'all to turn these over in your hearts in the coming days and months. We'll be exploring them again together. And for those coming to the first Meet the Moment gathering, bring them with you, that we may be one in seeking greater understanding and purposeful transformative action that such transformative times call for. As we know, transformation can feel downright frightful. Scary stuff on the news. You've seen it. I've seen it. Consider briefly the life cycle of a caterpillar, becoming a butterfly. One day after it's eaten enough, it gets this call to dangle itself upside down, to harden into the dark, and then melting in enzymes that it may become anew and take to the air. I don't know what a caterpillar can fear, but that sounds pretty scary to me. We are taught to preach from scars and not wounds. I do not believe that such a thing is always truly possible, especially in times like this. I confess, y'all, these days are sometimes hard on me. No doubt they are hard on many of us. And it's okay that it's known that at times I struggle with anxiety and even depression. And of course, I have good help in navigating that mess through therapy and mentorship, as I hope you do as well, friends. Do seek counseling. Even if you don't feel sick or broken or anything, it's just nice to have someone to talk to. This week, while reflecting on these questions myself, I found I was in a state of sudden kind of shock and panic and fear of being rendered an unperson or branded a terror threat for the sake of saying something as benign as trans folks deserve respect, right? Or panic at the thought of someone I love being harmed for the way they present or where they are from. It is an absolutely maddening premise. Likely a distraction, but the threat feels real. It is real. And in light of such daily horrors, one might feel bifurcated between knowing and feeling, right? Torn between knowing that one is safe, strong, capable, held, loved, and the feeling that something is lurking out there waiting to get you. I am fortunate as a minister to serve a congregation I can say this to with trust. Not to stoke anxiety, of course, but to name the fear gripping so many in our times. I am strong, and so are you, and even strong people can be afraid sometimes. Fear, like anger, is one of those feelings that gets a bad rap, right? It's often rendered in a wholly negative light, which can make sense. Few folks like to feel afraid, but the feeling of fear, we must know, can be a teacher in its own way. That is its intended evolutionary function, to guide us away from harm. I've heard it said that courage is not the absence of fear, but fear in action despite itself. Fear can paralyze us in analysis, can lead us into malaise or panic, but it may also be a motivating factor to come to the table, to make the future possible, to gather around the fire, to guard against what lurks in the night, to reach out for help, to reach in, to offer fellowship. Sometimes fear is the thing that gets us off our butt and into the world. There's an old saying back home in Tennessee, definitely said it here before, but there was a farmer and his dog, and the dog would not stop howling all day and all night. The dog would howl until a neighbor got tired of it and came over and said, "Hey man, what's up with your dog?" And the farmer says, "You're sitting on a nail. Why doesn't he get up? Doesn't hurt enough yet." Now, I have little doubt that many of you know what I'm talking about. In your own way, you might relate to that fear. Perhaps you too have had something like a panic attack or the heavy weight of depression sweep over you. And I'm so sorry if that's you too, friends. Perhaps few benefit by being told that they are not alone in their struggle, but it must be said that you are not weak for the sake of a heart that feels so heavy. As Andrea Gibson, the poet, would say, "I've never known a heavy heart that wasn't a phone booth with a red cape inside." Our vulnerability is not our weakness. Vulnerabilities are living arenas of transformation. I have just as little doubt that many of you may remember the words of Fred Rogers that were echoed in our Time for All Ages video, who told us where to turn when damage and disarray characterize our times. Look to the helpers, right? There are always people helping. Always, always. I'm looking at a lot of them right now. Not to put you on the spot, Pete, but Pete Miller, who I often call out for doing cool stuff, here was one of the many voices who spoke to City Council on an ordinance that would have outlawed camping, inevitably harming countless unhoused people. And thanks to that public pressure, the city is exploring new options, albeit imperfect options. They still need more pressure to see the light, but new options nonetheless to address the challenges presented by encampments in a way that at least helps preserve some sense of dignity for folks on their very, very worst day. Look for the helpers. I reckon we need not look very far. May you be as a mirror to one another, in your families, in your friend groups, on your playgrounds, wherever you are, right here at Second Unitarian Church of Omaha, to remind yourselves and one another over and over and over again of the love that is the core of our character and our calling, knowing one another as the helpers who will meet the moment in the ways that we can, helping to swing the pendulum back to the center where love holds all things. So may it be. And may we share in our time of altar building this morning. Altar building is a sacrament of Second Unitarian Church of Omaha where you're invited, if you feel so led. You certainly don't have to, but you may get up out of your seat and be around the space and take advantage of some of the stations we have set up in the front and in the back. We have flowers of fellowship. Y'all, if you have any calling for a flower, come take a flower. We got plenty. Take one for yourself, give another to a friend. We have them set up here and in the back. Up here in the same box, same basket, we have stones as well. And these stones are meant to symbolize a burden, something you might be carrying that you are ready to set down. So as you take a flower, you may also take a stone. Feel the weight in your palm. We know that weight is a product of gravity. It's the whole curve of the planet pulling everything to the common center. Give that sense of a burden that you have to the stone, and when you are ready, give it back to the water. Deep calls to deep. If there is something in your life you'd like to shine a little light on, please come and take a stick and give it to the flame, and give the flame to a candle. Just like that. Make sure it's put out all the way in the salt. If you're a younger person, you might get a bigger person to help you with that. And, the season, hand sanitizer. I recommend doing this after you light a candle. It is flammable. In this box, we have our book of life, and you can write whatever you want to in the book of life. A prayer, a poem, a brief reflection. You might sign your name. You might stay anonymous. Friends on Zoom, this is for you as well. The chat box is your chat box of life. So feel free to write in there what is written in the book of life, and the chat box of life will be shared in an extemporaneous prayer of the people following altar building. And we have these stations set up in the back as well, if that is closer to you or you're more comfortable back there. And we do take our offering up during altar building because we view it as a sacrament as worthy of any of these or ones we may do out of here. And Deb, will you introduce our Share the Plate partner, Inclusive Communities?
Sure. Every month, Second Unitarian donates half of our offering to a local nonprofit. Our partner for September and October is Inclusive Communities. Inclusive Communities' mission is to confront prejudice, bigotry, and discrimination. It envisions a society that is strengthened by diversity, inclusion, respect, equity, and justice for all people. Through powerful human relations work, we are providing education and advocacy related to the topics of diversity and inclusion. Inclusive Communities' philosophy is to meet people where they are and give them the tools to act. Its programming offers various ways that folks can affirm, confront, and transform to make inclusive changes at the individual, peer group, community, and system levels. It provides programs to businesses, educational institutions, government agencies, nonprofit organizations, and community and faith groups. Social justice is the heart of our church, and every day you show up. Please give generously to Second Unitarian Share the Plate offering to support Inclusive Communities and our church. You can scan the QR code in the order of service. You can mail checks, put Share the Plate in the memo line, and you can also get on our website, toyouomaha.org, and press the giving link. The donate button. Thank you.
We all help one another here. I'll invite our dulce singers forward for our altar building music. Open my heart. And I invite you to be in and up and around this space as you feel led, friends. This is your time, and if none of these stations speak to you, that's just fine. Where you are is as sacred a place as any, and this can be a good time to meditate. Friends, will you join me in that disposition of reverence, that prayerful heart that can receive the world for its highs and its lows, for its weight and for its gifts, for all that is our life might have that character of the holy if it draws us deeper into truth and meaning and community and love. Spirit of life, God of every name and no name at all, we gather in these times with such clear and rife and frightful divisions that it can make the heart want to go scurry beneath a basket and hide its light. May here we promote an invitation, a welcome that allows us to ever so slightly, bit by bit, or in big ways, reveal the truth of who we are. And the truth of who we are, we know, is that we are made for connection under a common sky, under a common sun, under the auspices of a common love that would name all of us and all that we are beloved, would we just enter and open and receive and share? And we know that this is so hard so often. We know this is hard on the biggest scales with massive geopolitical divisions and fundamentally selfish people doing selfish and dangerous things. It has been said, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. May we remember this to be true, and may we also remember that here, right here in Omaha, there is so much that we can leverage our power towards, not to feel powerless, because we never truly are. May we remember that powerlessness is just as corruptive. The forces that call us to give up, to lay down, to stop trying, to stop calling out injustice abroad, to stop calling out injustice at home, just keep buying things and be quiet. No, the spirit of the living tradition calls us to speak loud. Love under every name calls us to speak and live loudly, to be against something, forces that would cut and divide and mangle this world into unnatural shapes where we forget who our neighbor is and we forget how to love. May, if nothing else here, we remember how to be human together, how to be human across divisions, reminding one another over and over and over again that love truly is the most powerful force in the world when put to work with common hands united for a common cause. May we be such people that may hear the call of love, that may heed the call of love, that may turn our passions into actions, that we may transform this world into the image of one beloved community. A poem, one of my favorites, The Seven of Pentacles by Marge Piercy. You'll hear these words with an open heart, friends. She writes, under a sky the color of pea soup, she is looking at her work growing away there, actively, thickly, like grapevines or pole beans as things grow in the real world, slowly enough. If you tend them properly, if you mulch, if you water, if you provide birds that eat insects a home and winter food, if the sun shines and you pick off caterpillars, if the praying mantis comes and the ladybugs and the bees, then the plants flourish, but at their own internal clock. Connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground. You cannot always tell by looking what is happening. More than half the tree is spread out in the soil under your feet. Penetrate quietly as the earthworm that blows no trumpet. Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree. Spread like the squash plant that overruns the garden. Gnaw in the dark and use the sun to make sugar. Weave real connections, create real nodes, build real houses. Live a life that you can endure. Make love that is loving. Keep tangling and interweaving and taking more in. A thicket and bramble wilderness to the outside, but to us, interconnected with rabbit runs and burrows and lairs. Live as if you liked yourself and it just might happen. Reach out. Keep reaching out. Keep bringing in. This is how we are going to live for a long time. Not always, for every gardener knows that after the digging, after the planting, after the long season of tending and growth, the harvest comes. There is a parable I heard recently. A student asks the teacher, when's the best time to plant a tree? And the teacher says, 20 years ago. And the student says, okay, well, when's the second best time to plant a tree? And the teacher says, today. Division and fear, opportunity, and possibility, these forces coexist at once in a life, in the world, even in moments such as these where the tunnel visions of multiple terrors can leave us locked in place. I've also heard it said that some of the most profound spiritual truths are by their nature paradoxical, and I reckon we are on one. As we often name an altar building, such paradoxical positioning does not preclude the possibility of the sacred. Boy, that's a lot of alliteration. We must resist the tendencies to either minimize or catastrophize the moment, for both would betray the steady heart that an urgent response calls for. There are some traditions that one might refer to as life-denying, faith traditions. These would be the sort that see the world and the beings therein as being inherently fallen, flawed, or disposable, and such traditions frequently preach an appeal to escape, often with terrible consequences for the seeker within and the world without. Such forces have arguably found their tentacles around many of the levers of power in our world, presenting a vast, entangled, monolithic problem that threatens to shake the foundations of the moral center of one who has the audacity to dare confront it. It is dangerous to go alone, and so we take friends with us. As we speak of meeting the moment, we must resist the tendency to approach our justice and community building endeavors as purely tactical or programmatic. Of course, there are these institutional elements, but this is fundamentally soul work, right? This is the work of the church, to love your neighbor, to steward the planet, to be compassionate and curious, to draw down heaven, if not whole stars to shine a new way, then the half-light of the moon, or the embers of a communal fire to warm and ward the heart against what hurts in this world. Everything we do, it might just be one thing, if done with a reverent heart, particularly if we're collaborating with others, could move our condition a little closer to that beloved community on the horizon. People know what they do. They may even know why they do what they do, but seldom do we know what we do is doing in the world. And so the only thing to do is to get creative, to experiment, to ring the proverbial bells that still can ring. If I were to bring my heart to these questions, and I do, and I have, I would say that the moment we are in as a congregation is one of actual opportunity. We have long had connections born through our shared values of justice and love that may continue to yield real fruit if tended and nurtured. So the moment on the bigger scale might be monolithic and dreadful in many regards, but on a local level, there are cool people doing cool stuff all over the place, some in this very room, and we can be a part of that. It's been said that an age defined by social media and the internet makes the world smaller. If you ask me, it simply exposes one to the vastness of the world. We should not forego or forget these larger troubles, but our attention and intention are sacred forces, and they are best employed in a context that can bring real results. The moment has myriad challenges, and so we need to triage the situation. I know some of y'all are nurses, you know what I'm talking about. You need to take stock of where we can place our efforts so we're not spreading ourselves out too thin or bunching up in the wrong areas, but being strategic while also being faithful. These things go hand in hand in hand into the future. Of course, this does not imply any guarantees, save that the proverbial rubber will meet the actual road, and we will at least be doing something that truly matters. And again, y'all, this is soul work. It is the work of weaving real connections, making real notes, building real houses, living as if we liked ourselves in this life, loving this life despite the heartbreak. Such love realized in connection and action is the antidote to the spirit of cynicism that has taken hold of so many, holding their hands as it walks them to a cozy apathy or a reactionary ideology. Either line must be incompatible with the beloved community, both of which plague our present condition by atomizing and alienating and isolating people from people. By reactionary ideology, I mean those which promote the idea that divisions must be intensified and accelerated in order to foment collapse that a new social order of the select may take root. Scary, but very real. Some folks do live just to see the world burn. Sometimes they say things like move fast and break things. Other times they are promoting wild ideas about race or cultural purity. At any rate, it is not things that get broken. It is people. These are life-denying forces, for they deny the heart of a human life that despite our differences, we are made for community, made for togetherness, to make meaning and music and the everyday magic of love. Make no mistake that some of these forces interpenetrate our own political condition here in Nebraska, here in Omaha, from senators to city councils to school boards. Here, though, is where we make our stand. Here is where we may bring the water of our attention to the fires that burn. Here is where we meet the moment in Omaha, Nebraska, helping one another believe more in the good life. It's still the good life to me. So what would a values-based response be like? Our values, of course, are justice, equity, pluralism, transformation, generosity, and interdependence, grounded and rooted in that love that is the heart of who and what we are. Our continued work with OTOC, that's Omaha Together One Community, and our Share the Plate partners help to nurture many of these. Justice, of course, but also transformation as we are made different in our interactions with those who have different perspectives while united in a common cause. Like Octavia Butler would say, everything we touch, we change. Everything we change changes us. Equity is present as we seek to expand belonging, as is pluralism. The generosity of our time and talents and treasures is realized in such a relationship. Interdependence is realized as we learn how much we need one another in this shared work of liberation. Our values come alive, and this and other relationships we have with our partners that we have together. Grounding ourselves in these is no small part of what will allow us to stay present and faithful in the face of all that we are called to care for. Love calls us to care, to be, again, tikkun olam, repairers and restorers of creation, to be fools for love and pilgrims for justice. And there are so many ways we can engage in the work of loving our community and our city and our world towards more wholeness. I hope that you can take some time to turn these questions over in your heart and bring your own answers. What is the moment we are in? What are the obstacles and opportunities presented? What would a values-based response be like? By sharing our perspective, we draw the circle of possibilities wider and wider still, for we alone have a limited perspective. Together, our awareness expands. Together, with reverence and care, strategy and tactics become sacred work. This is hard stuff and hard times, and we will not always be able to contribute in big ways, but that is okay. From talking to elected officials to talking to friends on the playground, it all matters in the end. The great lie of apathy would have us believe that we are too alienated, too atomized, too divided. But if there is anything worth having faith in, it is faith that change is possible. And it begins with each and every one of us. We are each as many bells waiting to be rung, announcing the new world that is possible. So let us ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That is how the light gets in, friends. Our last hymn is Anthem by Leonard Cohen. If you know the whole thing, feel free to sing with us. I won't ask you to do that necessarily, but I will ask you to join us on the chorus, strong voices. Will you sing with me? Thanks, Casey. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment.
These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
And our doxology, friends.
Praise love from which all goodness shines. Praise freedom lifted to the skies. Praise the fires of the mind. Praise all the joy we've yet to find.
Prophetic Church, this world awaits your liberating ministry as we go from this place. May we be fools for love and pilgrims for justice, and until we meet again, may we rock, roll, and move towards that spirit of beloved community on the horizon. Go in peace.